Under the dim yellow light she tilted her head slightly, her slender neck forming a fragile arc. My fingertips brushed against her palm hot, searing heat burning all the way down to my heart. Her red lips parted, and the soft murmur she let out was like a feather sweeping across my heart, filling the cramped air with a sweetness and danger so thick it was suffocating. My best friend Zhao Fen was getting married. His bride Su Yao was breathtakingly beautiful, and her eyes seemed to hide hooks in their depths. But the most lethal thing was her figure, a waist so slender it looked as if it might snap at any moment, long legs faintly visible beneath her wedding dress. A creature like her walking down the street would probably make even the stone lions turn their heads for a second look. I couldn't help but smack my lids and wonder, how did a woman of such ethereal beauty end up with an ordinary poor guy like Xiao Fan? I come a wealthy family, so why didn't I have such luck? On their honeymoon, Xiao Fan sidled up to me mysteriously and said, Su Yao and I are planning to go camping in the big snowy mountains, experience some wilderness fun. What do you think? Not much, I say, inwardly complaining that the guy was just rubbing his happiness in my face. Hey, Chenmo, you're such a downer. I shouldn't have invited you along. You're inviting me? I asked, stunned. Even if he felt sorry for me being single, there was no need to drag me along as a third wheel. If you don't come, you'll regret it. Xiao Fen nudged me with his elbow and lowered his voice. Su Yao says she'd introduce you to her best friend on this trip. I hear she's just as gorgeous. When the time comes, seize the opportunity and win her over. What sister-in-law is that generous? So my face sincerely brightened, my eyes gleaming. Let's go, let's go. I'm buying a tent right now. The night before the camping trip, I tossed and turned with excitement, constantly picturing the girl I'd never met. If she turned out to be a long-legged beauty with fair skin, this trip would be worth it. But when I arrived at the meeting point loaded down with bags, there was no one beside Zhao Fang except Su Yao, not a soul in sight. Are you messing with me? I felt she did and was so angry I nearly threw my gear on the ground. I seriously suspect you two are making a fool of me. Don't panic, Chenmo. Xiao Fang stopped me. Su Yao explained softly, my best friend had something urgent come up. She'll arrive in the eve. Fine. I'll believe you for now. Climbing the snowy mountain was no easy feat. Wrapped in heavy winter gear, carrying a burdensome backpack, every step felt like trudging through mud. We finally reached our campsite just before dark. Sister-in-law, when exactly is your friend coming? It's pitch black out. Can she really climb up here safely? I couldn't help but tense. I couldn't help but corner Su Yao at the entrance. Don't worry, she's an experienced climber. She'll make it on time. His head was nestled in her furry collar, making her look especially charming. Her slightly pouted lips had a tempting redness in the cold wind, and somehow, I tied Su, a wrestler to my restless end. All right, sister-in-law, I trust you one more time. Just don't let me down. I waited. No one came. The clock crept toward 11, and still, the area outside the tent was silent. Meanwhile, from Xiao Fan and Su Yao's tent, I could faintly hear some sounds that made my face burn, making me restless and agitated. And bonaciously, forget it. I'll sleep first and settle the score with Xiao Fan tomorrow. After calming myself down, I crawled into my sleeping bag. Just as I was about to drift off, I heard rustling sounds outside the tent. She's here. I quickly unzipped the tent. It was freezing out there, and I couldn't let the beauty get cold. But to my shock, it was Su Yao who stepped inside. Sister-in-law, why are you here? My mind went blank. Hadn't she just been with Xiao Fan? If he followed us in, I'd never be able to clear my name. But Su Yao didn't seem to care. Watery eyes locked onto me. Why can't I come? She stepped closer. My cold eye was still stunned. Her cold fingers slipped under my collar and traced across my burning skin. Little Mo, did listening to what was happening next door make you uncomfortable? My sister-in-law? That night was a dreamlike whirlwind of passion. In the morning, sunlight spilled over the snow, dazzling bright, but sitting in front of the tent, the pair of sisters teasing me made me quite happy. Couldn't you have given me a hint? Instead, you helped your sister-in-law mess with me, I said resentfully, looking at Xiao Feng. I thought Su Yao was unsatisfied and had earnestly advised her to stay faithful, only for her to burst out laughing. You idiot. I'm Su Yao's twin sister. So Su Yao had a younger sister named Su Yao. Oh, I had no choice. Su Yao always indulged her sister. You were the best man at my wedding. Remember, my sister took a liking to you the moment she saw you. This prank was her idea. Do you think I could say no? 每人过了70岁. I really are slaves to beauty, but don't be mad. Su Yao is the dream girl of countless men. That was true. I stole a glance at Su Yao sitting next to Su Yao. Her smile was even more radiant against the white snow. Though the twin sisters looked identical, their temperaments were completely different too. Suya was gentle and sweet, while Suya was lively and mischievous. Honestly, I preferred Suya, the little wildcat. Chenmo, you're not really angry, are you? As we sat around a campfire drinking, Suya, whom I'd been ignoring all day, couldn't resist idling up to test the waters. What do you think? Under the influence of alcohol, all I could see was her rosy little mouth, opening and closing, handing me to devour it. You're not angry, are you? Pili, she even started acting coy. Faced with a beautiful woman's initiative, I've always been very self-aware. I leaned in and whispered in her ear, what if I am angry? What will you do? What will I do? Suya gave me a flirtatious look. I'll sleep in the same bed with you tonight. Damn, because it was late and dark, I'd let her share my tent, sleeping in separate bags. Now she was volunteering to share a bed. Wasn't that an obvious hint? Sure. After making that bold statement, I told Xiaofeng I was taking Suya into my tent. Pointing at my sleeping bag, I said seriously, come on, little Yaya, take off your clothes and get in. For real? Suya's face turned as red as a ripe apple. We've only known each other for 2 days. Weren't you the one who suggested it? All talk? Who's all talk? Fueled by alcohol, Suya shed her bulky coat. Underneath, her tight thermal underwear revealed an hourglass figure that made my breathing quicken. She quickly slipped into the sleeping bag and crooked a finger at me. Hurry up, little Yaya is waiting. I'd only meant to scare her a little, to teach her not to joke around with men. But now, I found myself lying down beside her. Chenmo, I like you, Suya whispered as she pressed into my arms. The softness of her body made me lose all reason. At a time like this, words were useless. I would prove my love for her through action. Chenmo, it took me over a year to woo Suya. At my wedding to Suya, Xiaofeng was full of admiration. We were upon a tasting temptation that night, on a snowy mountain holding the beautiful woman without making a move. I earned her trust. Sis, Chenmo is a good man. I teased him all night, and he didn't do anything. I've decided he's the one. After marriage, the only thing that troubled me was Suya's love for extreme sports, climbing snowy mountains. Thinking it was just casual climbing and tapping for the views. Later, I learned that climbing snowy peaks is a grueling test of body and spirit, where a single misstep would mean death. On our first anniversary, Suya insisted on climbing a 5,000-meter snowy mountain. Honey, I'm just a beginner. Aren't you afraid something will happen if you take me along? I tried to dissuade her. Don't worry, I have years of experience. I'll protect you. So I let myself be half dragged, half pulled up the mountain. After a day of climbing, we finally reached the summit. Looking down at the endless white peaks and layered ridges, the view was indeed spectacular. Okay, let's head down and find a place to set up camp. It's getting dark, so I didn't linger over the scenery and started descending. On a flat stretch, we set up our tent. Before sleep, she lay in my arms. I love you so much. You always indulge me, always tolerate me. I smiled and held her tighter. All right, Kazujuan and Suya will be together forever. But misfortune always arrives before tomorrow. The next morning, I woke to find Suya's body cold in my arms. No breath, no pulse. She was dead. Why? Panicked, I pulled out my phone to call for help, but there was no signal. Only one notification I'd received the night before, but hadn't read. Sudden blizzard on the mountain and evacuate immediately. It was over. Not only had my wife died on our anniversary trip, but I was also trapped on this endless snowy mountain. Realizing no rescue would come, I decided to carry Suya's body down. I couldn't leave her here alone. But first, I had to figure out why she died. She was athletic and healthy. The only possibility was altitude sickness triggering high-altitude pulmonary edema. But if even a novice like me was fine, then I remembered her period had been late this month, and a terrible thought exploded in my mind: she was pregnant. Hormonal changes had weakened her immune system, making her susceptible to altitude sickness. That truth pushed me deeper into the abyss. Grief turned to strength. I hoisted Suya's body onto my shoulder and trudged. The snow grew heavier. Her legs went weak from the extra weight. Suddenly I stumbled, and both of us stumbled. Suya was thrown from me. Sorry. I scrambled up and trudged to her. Fortunately, her thick winter gear had protected her. She still looked peaceful and beautiful. Looks like I wouldn't make it down today. I dragged her back into the tent and brushed the snow from her face. Looking at her, as if only asleep, I couldn't stop the tears. That night, I took stock of our supplies. There was hardly any compressed biscuit left. I ate only a little, saving the rest for rescue. Are you hungry? I pinched off a small piece and put it in Suya's mouth. She didn't swallow, so I took a sip of water and leaned down to transfer it into her mouth. Eat a little, honey. This is your favorite flavor. No matter how much I fed her, the crumbs only spilled out with the water, dirtying her face. As I wiped her clean, I told myself she's dead. Wake up, Chenmo. For some reason, my consciousness began to blur. Altitude sickness, or grief-induced hallucinations. I thought I saw Suya slowly open her eyes. Honey, did you come back to life? I stared intently at her face. For 10 minutes passed with no movement, only the blizzard howling outside. I must have imagined. Wet sleep, honey. Did you wake up at home? Another merciless night. I held Suya's whole body and fell into a deep sleep. Honey, wake up. We need to get down the mountain and go home. The next morning, there was no sun, only stronger wind and snow. I didn't want to open my eyes, but the familiar voice swept and my heart leaped. It was Suya. My eyes flew open. Sure enough, Suya sat before me, smiling, urging me to get up and go home. All right, I'm up. Seeing her alive filled me with energy. Are you hungry? You've slept for a whole day. I pulled out the compressed biscuit and handed it to her. I'm not hungry. She pushed my hand away. I took her hand. It was ice cold. I pulled her close and breathed hot air onto her hands, trying to warm them, but her body was even colder than her hands, at the temperature of a living person. Honey, what's wrong? Could you say? Nothing. You're just so beautiful, you bewitched me. I ignored her coldness and pulled her into my arms. As long as she was awake, she was my wife. You're lying. There are still other women in your heart. Here we go again. Even at a time like this, she brought it up. Yes, I'd had 1 or 2 flings outside the marriage, but the one I loved was always Suya. Don't be mad. At this life and death moment, I don't want to upset you over such things. Seeing her aggrieved expression, I began to coax her. I'm sorry, my fault. From now on, you'll be the only woman in my eyes. Whatever you want, new clothes, a new hairstyle, new nails, I'll be there with you. If I break my word, you can punish me by making me buy you bags or washing dishes for a month. 70岁. The way Suya pouted on that cue was utterly adorable. But the next moment, things changed. Honey, I'm getting sleepy. No, don't sleep. Honey, don't sleep. The instinct told me she was about to turn back into a corpse. I shook her frantically, begging her not to close her eyes. I can't help it, honey. My eyelids are so heavy. I have to sleep. I watched helplessly as Suya collapsed in my arms. Wife was once more. Honey, I know this is fake. I know this is so much. Can you come back to life again? I muttered to the corpse. Yes, I believed that had been a hallucination. I knew I was showing signs of altitude sickness, and if I kept going like this, I would die in my sleep too. I rubbed my phone against my clothes to generate enough heat to turn it on. Honey, this might be our last photo together. In the frame, I held Suya and smiled brightly, but Suya's eyes were closed, and rigor mortis had begun to show at the corners of her mouth. How long had she been dead? I lost track of which day of the disaster it was. Maybe from the very beginning my memories had been jumbled. In the end, I survived. After the blizzard passed, a rescue team found me. But what was the point of surviving? My wife was dead. My child was dead. I had no will to live. Not long after being discharged, Xiao Feng came to comfort me. I'm fine. Go and comfort your wife, fool. I attacked her sister. I waved him off, unwilling to talk about Suya. What wife? I'm divorced? What? Suya divorced? Then, she cheated on me and left. We got divorced. We just didn't announce it, too embarrassing. So Suya had changed her mind. I knew it. How could a poor Xiao like Xiao Feng keep such a beautiful woman? But Xiao Feng and I were different. Lacking nothing. Suya had taken a liking to me at first sight because I'd driven a Maserati as a wedding car. Xiao Feng, on the other hand, was poor and had relied on my help for years. He was beneath Suya's league and wouldn't leave voluntarily. Suya must have left for money. Yeah, you were right. Guess what? Suya is dead too. Her lover didn't die, but he turned into a vegetable. Isn't that karma? Xiao Feng's grating laughter sent cold sweat down my spine. Wait, what did he say? Suya is dead too. Yeah, he squeezed the words out through gritted teeth, a mix of joy and bitterness. Something was off about him. I just seen Suya's parents a few days ago, and they hadn't mentioned anything about Suya. But Xiao Feng so unhinged from being cuckolded that he'd stories. I'm really fine, Xiao Feng. Faced with my dismissal, Xiao Feng said nothing, just lowered his head and left. But as the door closed, that evening my mother called, urging me to move on and find someone new. 70岁. Suya's body isn't even cold yet. And you want me to remarry? How could I ever face her? What's wrong with that? A wife dies, a man remarries, it's only natural. Suya was a flirt who ran around with other men. She wasn't worth staying faithful to. Listen to my mother, she'd lost her mind. Sure, why'd she been faithful to me after we got together? My mother just looked down on Suya's family background. I angrily hung up. Without Suya, my days were flavorless. One day while wandering the streets, I happened to see Xiaofeng shopping in a hardware store. Young man, this knife is the best in the shop, razor sharp. How is it for chopping bones? No problem at all. Pick bones, some bones, whatever you've got. What was Xiaofeng buying a knife for? Xiaofeng, I called out, determined as something stupid. But Xiaofeng's next word surprised me. Chen Mo, perfect timing. I was just going to invite you over for some bone broth today. His enthusiasm made it impossible to refuse. I followed him home. The small one-bedroom apartment was cramped. Xiaofeng went into the kitchen and brought me a glass of water. I only have cold water. Hope that's okay. I took it and drank deeply. He'd offered to take a taxi, but I'd insisted on walking, said it was healthier. After all that walking, I was parched. After drinking, I felt much better, but the water had tasted a little strange. Are you feeling better now? So. I still think about Suya from time to time. By the way, didn't you say you were making bone broth? You didn't forget to buy the bones, did you? That was typical of a modern knife, but forgot the groceries. No wonder his wife had been stolen. Xiaofeng didn't answer. I thought he was embarrassed and was about to give him an out when he said, I bought them. They're in the kitchen. How did it work? He actually had bought them, but on our way back I hadn't seen him carrying anything besides a knife. As I puzzled over this, my head started to spin. I staggered to my feet, trying to call out Tisha's saying, but before I could make a sound I collapsed unconscious. A long time later, a basin of cold water splashed over me, and I slowly woke up. Where was this? I looked around. I was still in Xiaofeng's apartment, tied to a dining chair. Xiaofeng sat across from me, glaring with hatred. Xiaofeng, this joke has gone too far. Why? To avenge my wife. What do you mean? I'm not the man Suya cheated with. Xiaofeng, did it grip her brothers-in-law? Even tied up, I didn't think Xiaofeng would actually hurt me. Without me, who would pay his mortgage? I yelled at him to let me go, but the next moment, I saw him pull out that freshly sharpened kitchen knife. He pressed the blade to my throat and whispered something absurd in my ear. Chen Mo, how long are you going to keep up stories? There's no such person as Suya in this world. Suya was my wife. You lured her away from me, and that's why she divorced me. What? Xiaofeng's words exploded in my mind like a bomb. At the same time, some real memories came flooding back. I'm a nobody. You're a richer. That's my best friend. Called her into your tent in the middle of the night and slept with her. How could you? You were jealous that I'd found a goddess, so you used your money to seduce Suna away from me. You made her divorce me and marry you. Chen Mo. Even a dog has a sense of honor. Through Xiaofeng's fragmented rage, I finally understood what I had done. The truth was I had coveted my best friend's wife. During their honeymoon trip, I forced Suya to have sex with me, then used money to buy her, making her leave Xiaofeng and marry me. No wonder my mother had called Suya a loose woman. As for the so-called sister Suya, she was just a fictional character I'd invented to soothe my guilt. If it weren't for Suya telling me, you have mental problems and I've been helping you keep up the act, I would have exposed your hypocrisy long ago. And what about Suya? If my memories were all fake, did that mean Suya wasn't dead? Did I bet wouldn't you? You didn't let Shisha say. You didn't treat her well, you flaunted your money and slept around. You made her so miserable she lost the baby. When she miscarried, you got angry. You got drunk and took her on a joyride. Car accident. Suya died in a car accident. Not in a snow disaster. Could it be that even my memories of climbing the snowy mountain and encountering an avalanche were fabrication stories I'd made up to deceive myself? In that moment, countless memories collided and clashed in my mind. Perhaps, Xiaofeng had said, I really was mentally ill. Xiaofeng, I'm sorry. I truly didn't know. Now that I understood, I couldn't stop apologizing. Chen Mo, sorry doesn't cut it anymore. Xiaofeng's expression was deadly serious. The knife against my neck pressed deeper. Drip claw. I looked down. My neck had been cut open, and blood was pouring down. Don't do anything rash. I know I wronged you, but Suya is it, and I can't bring her back. But anything else you want, name it. I'll give it to you. At death's door, I no longer cared about material things. If money could make up for it, I was willing. Besides, what good was money to a man, Mom? Didn't you always say you were sick of living poor? Didn't you quit your job and travel? and I'll give you all my money, okay? I'm begging you. Between my pleas and promises, Xiao Feng's resolve visibly wavered. How can I trust you? If I let you go today, you will hire a lawyer tomorrow and sue me. Don't worry. I'll write a voluntary asset transfer document. With that, you can legally take all my money. Really? Xiao Feng narrowed his eyes, skeptical. To reassure him, I played my final card. You can even have a lawyer notarize it. I promise that no matter how much I regret it later, I will never pursue legal action against you. In the end, Xiao Feng agreed to let me go, and I kept my word, transferred all my assets to him. I became completely broke. Xiao Feng disappeared with my money, but everything from the past felt utterly unreal. I could no longer remember what had truly happened between us. Xiao Feng. Suya. Was I really the heartless villain Xiao Feng described? Was the trip a figment of my imagination? I had no way of knowing. I could only drift through life in a daze until the end. One day, while wandering again, I saw a Maserati parked in front of a lavishly decorated VR experience store. I walked over, feeling a pang of nostalgia. I had once been a man who could afford $1 million car. Hello, would you like to try a virtual life experience, sir? A store employee called out as I was about to leave. What do you mean? Our virtual life service uses VR technology to let you live the life you want. We import desired mode into the system, and you experience it through our VR equipment. It feels completely real. Everything you see and hear is indistinguishable from reality. Is it really that amazing? I suspected the employee was exaggerating, but the next moment a man and a woman get out of the car. I froze. It was Xiao Feng and Suya. How could they be here? Wasn't Suya dead? In a flash, I thought I understood everything. I had been scammed. I first walked into this store out of curiosity, had been implanted by VR technology, running a fraud scheme under the guise of virtual life. No wonder the name on the asset transfer document hadn't been Xiao Feng, but he used his real name. Determined to confirm my suspicions, I broke into the store at night. On a computer in the back, experiment subject, Chen Mo male, 29, wealthy second generation heir. 460岁. Experiment entry point: lust, attraction to beautiful women. Has experienced an avalanche before. Harbors great fear of avalanches. Can be used as a tool to disorient. Experiment requirement: use a reasonable plot to cause the subject's mental collapse after he voluntarily abandons his assets. Apply external stimuli to ensure success. Experiment triggered memory confusion via drug. Successful. VR memory implantation successful. Total VR system entries and Hansei. Experiment result successful. Total assets obtained 82 million yuan. 3 apartments. 1 Maserati, 1 Mercedes-Benz. Voluntary asset transfer document unfound on legal issues. Who are you? Just as I was about to photograph the files to use as evidence in court, a group of thugs rushed in. Without a word, they tied me up, and a man in a suit appeared. It was Xiao Feng. No, you. I didn't expect you to figure it out. Since you don't want your freedom, we'll lock you up. After he's forgotten everything again, we'll let him out. With Yu's order, the thugs threw me into a dark room. There, I saw many other men, just as disoriented and hollow-eyed as I was. Only then did I realize that I wasn't the only victim. Darkness. I was imprisoned in this lightless cell, discarded like an old object. Time lost meaning here. Only the blinding flash of light when the door opened to deliver food reminded me that the outside world was still turning. The other men locked up with me had vacant eyes and dull expressions. They muttered to themselves fragments about snowy mountains, weddings, luxury cars, beautiful women, just like the jumbled scenes buried deep in my own memory. So we were all ants in this elaborate scam, drained of our last ounce of value in them, thrown away like trash. At first, I screamed in rage, banged my head against the cold walls, trying to wake them up and wake myself up. I told them we were victims, that a swindler named Yu had stolen our lives using mere technology. But all I got were blank stares and rougher treatment from the guard. Slowly, I began to doubt whether any of this was real. Yu? Suya? These names spun and collided in my head, finally turning into an indistinguishable mush. I tried to recall Suya's face, but what surface was always Suya's gentle, watery eyes and her mischievous smile by the campfire. I could no longer remember whether I was the poor boy betrayed by a friend, but the rich heir who stole someone else's wife. Maybe I was neither. Maybe I was just a wretch trapped inside his own shattered memories. One day, the door opened. A guard tossed in a set of clean clothes. Monsieur, he wants to see you. Monsieur Shi. He. I was led to a bright room. He sat on a sofa, elegantly sipping tea. He looked exactly like Xiao Feng. yet completely different. His eyes held none of Xiaofeng's grief or hatred, only a businessman's shrewdness and detachment. Chen Mo, have you come to your senses? He smiled, as if chatting with an old friend. I stared at his face, open-mouthed, but no sound came out. Were Xiaofeng and I ever brothers? Were those memories real experiences or just lines of code in a VR program? But in the end, I just say. He seemed satisfied with my response. He stood up, watched the window, and gazed out at the bustling city. The outside world is wonderful, isn't it? You once had it. You can have it again. All you have to do is forget everything that happened here. He turned around and handed me a card and a plane ticket. This is enough to get you out of this city. Forget you. Forget this store. You're just an ordinary Chen Mo lucky guy. You just inherited a small sum of distant relative. I took the card. The cool touch of plastic was real. Was this another? Was sophisticated VR experience? I walked out of that building. The sun blinded me. The streets were crowded and noisy. I hailed a taxi. Where to? Where to? I didn't know. I gave a random address. The car merged into traffic. I watched the scenery flash by outside the window, feeling that none of it was real. Its solid presence told me this might be real, but in my mind, I couldn't stop thinking about that night on the snowy mountain. Outside the tent, the wind howled. Inside, a woman whose face I couldn't see flipped into my sleeping bag, and her cold fingers across my chest, and it whispered in my ear, Chen Mo, do you like me? I couldn't tell if it was Suya or Suya, or maybe just a phantom of my deepest desire. I looked down at my hands, or another false identity implanted in my mind. I didn't know. Maybe the real Chen Mo had died the moment he walked into that DR store. The taxi stopped in front of a bar. I went inside and ordered the strongest drink. The alcohol burned my throat, warmed my frozen heart. I looked up at the men and women dancing wildly in the club. Their faces glowed with real happiness, something I could never have again. My happiness, my love. My life all had been packaged in a Darien large inside some cold server. I was just a released ghost, forever wandering on the edge of reality and delusion. I raised my glass, hosting the air, toasting the self I could never return to. To us, I whispered. Then I downed the drink in one gulp, letting myself sink into this endless, in this immovable chaos of waking up. That night, Sister Lan would find out why I'm called the Stallion. In that pitch black room of the BB, Brother Lin, who was in his 60s, suddenly grabbed my wrist. His voice was low, a little hoarse. My heart pounded, nearly leaping out of my chest. I pushed him away hard and shouted, "Oh, you're a married man. If anyone finds out, I'll be gossiped about for the rest of my life." But he only moved closer, his lips almost touching my ear. Ben whispered softly, "That family is long gone. How I only have Weezam by my side." During that, my last bit of resistance crumbled. We were like two flames that had been suppressed too long, igniting in an instant, fiery wild, unstoppable. He was the stallion everyone in the village whispered about. They said his stamina was extraordinary. And I, Chen Yaofen, a 58-year-old woman, had never truly been satisfied in my marriage. Was this encounter a Yuan fate, or the beginning of a destruction that would cost me everything? I'm 58 and used to teach painting at a community college. 3 years ago, I divorced my ex-husband because he could never last more than a minute. At first, I thought being alone was fine, but as time passed, I realized how terrifying loneliness could be. Every morning at 7 I get up, eat a slice of toast, go to class, and seeing my students' smiling faces made me feel alive. But at 6 p.m., when I turned off the classroom lights, my heart would empty. I'd take the MRT home, open the door, and silence would flood over me like a tide. Play music, holiness never left. Sometimes my sensei would call, but I always felt like I was walking on eggshells around my daughter-in-law. I understood that young people need their space. I had a mother-in-law, to me a burden, but still, I'd feel so lost. During dinner was often just a bowl of instant noodles or some frozen vegetables. Eating alone was uninspiring. I go to bed at 10 but often couldn't sleep, staring at the ceiling and wondering, is this how my life ends? The sounds from next door made it worse at night. The intimacy between the couple next door would travel through the walls. The woman moaned in, "Honey, I can't take much more." The guy next door had incredible stamina. A forbidden fantasy would grow. What would it feel like to be with a man like that just once? One day, I met him in the elevator. Hello, we nodded at each other, and my heart inexplicably raced. Staring at his thick, strong thighs, a thought flashed through my mind. Did thick thighs mean extraordinary energy? That elevator ride left me breathless. Later, a high school classmate called. "Yafen, you don't want to sushi say?" I said I was just feeling bored. Then take a trip, she said. Even going alone is fine. Staying cooped up at home will really make you depressed. She was right too. School was on break, and I had seriously. I decided to go to Yilan alone. That morning on the highway, my mood suddenly lifted. The scenery flew past, and I even hummed along to the radio. But just outside Yilan, I made a small mistake distracted by the GPS. I misjudged the distance and lightly bumped the car ahead. Luckily, no real damage. I got out quickly to apologize. I'm so sorry, really, I'm very sorry. But the person who got out of the other car stunned me. It was Brother Lin from next door. Oh, the odds, from Taipei to Yilan, then we crashed into each other. He recognized me first. Fen, you live next door to me, right? Yes, so what a coincidence. Are you hurt? Did I scare you? I expected him to be angry, but instead he was concerned. Do you have what to say? Hey, are you here for a trip? Yes, I'm traveling alone. I'm here alone too, just to clear my head. I'm heading to my BB. Doc is safe. We parted quickly, but somehow, I already felt a little disappointed. I re-entered the address into my GPS and found the BB. Eugene Xiaoshu. I parked the car and looked up. There was his car. My heart raced. I walked to my room, and just as I was about to open the door next to mine clicked open. We stared at each other. Wow, this is really a coincidence, he said with a wry smile. You could call it fate, a fender bender, and now we're neighbors again. That evening, he knocked on my door. How about dinner together? Sure. I actually find it dull eating by myself too. But I'll make us some instant noodles, he said. No need. I brought stuff for barbecue. Let's do that instead. There was a barbecue area in front of the BB. He prepared the meat and vegetables, and I bought a bottle of red wine. As the charcoal glowed and the aroma of grilled meat filled the air, we each had a glass of wine. As we drank more, we talked more. I gathered my courage and asked, Brother Wenji, do you know that in our community, you're famous as the Stallion? He jumped, his ears turning red. Huh? I couldn't help laughing. The sounds echo from midnight to early morning, honey. I can't take an echo through the whole community. Everyone knows. He covered his face and laughed. But honestly, I won't deny it. Maybe it was the alcohol. Maybe it was finally meeting someone who understood. Suddenly, I blurted out what was in my heart. I was married for years, but I never experienced that. My ex-husband had absolutely no talent. He was silent for a moment. He poured more wine, and his expression grew heavy. Actually, I'm in the same boat. I'm in the middle of divorce proceedings. The atmosphere turned serious in an instant. I held my breath. He continued. Physically, we were very compatible, but our personalities were worlds apart. We grew distant long ago. Just then, he reached for some meat and accidentally splashed barbecue sauce on his white shirt. Oh dear, we need to wash that off quickly, I said. I have laundry detergent in my room. Maybe it was the wine, but I naturally took his hand and led him into my room. We were on a train to just the two of us. It was so quiet I could hear my own heartbeat. I rolled up his sleeve and started dabbing at the stain. We were so close. His breath brushed against my ear. My hands began to tremble. After a long moment, he softly called my name and carefully took my hand. But I couldn't look away from his earnest eyes. Fen, are you feeling the same way I am? I could only nod. I was feeling this for the first time. And then we could no longer suppress our desire. Our long dry bodies and souls erupted like a volcano, lying against his broad chest. All my loneliness seemed to disappear. I woke in the morning. He was still asleep beside me. I stared at the ceiling. What have I done? With a 55-year-old man who is still legally married. Waves of guilt washed over me, but at the same time I felt so peaceful. He opened his eyes and looked at me, smiling brightly. Yes, I haven't slept this soundly in a long time. Do you regret it? No, not at all. But I'm a little scared. He held my hand tighter. I haven't felt this alive in ages. The divorce is in its final stages. It'll be finalized next week. Once it is, I want to date you properly. Starting a new relationship at this age. My heart began to race again. I'd like that too. But until then, I'm still afraid of what people will say. I'd meet discreetly until the paperwork is done. His words reassured me. At least I wasn't alone. Back in Taipei, we went back to our own homes. In the elevator, he said, I'll contact you. Okay? Full of anticipation, my face had regained its glow, and I felt a confidence I'd lost long ago. That night, he texted, how was your day? I replied lightly, me too. 27岁. And so our secret correspondence began. By day and night, we were lovers missing each other. Then it became natural. When I taught at the community college, I'd think of him. Some of the older women students said, "Teacher, you've been looking great lately." Really, when I looked in the mirror, I saw a face glowing with love, completely different from before. We met about 2 or 3 times a week, usually at coffee shops, arriving at different times and pretending to bump into each other. Every time I saw him, my heart would race like I was back in high school. After a month like this, our relationship grew even closer, walking hand in hand on a quiet road. "Can you stay out late tonight?" I knew what he meant. We went to a nearby love motel. The pent-up longing made this encounter even more passionate than that first night in Yilan. But as we walked out, someone walked toward us, my son Zaiji. "No way." Zaiji's voice trembled. Mom, what are you doing?" In that moment, the world stopped. His eyes darted between me and Brother Lin. My lips were dry. I couldn't speak. "Zaiji." But he stepped back, waving his hand. His voice held disappointment and anger. "Yafen, son, let me explain." Brother Lin stepped forward. Zaiji didn't even look at him. He said only to me, "Mom, let's talk at home." Then he turned and walked away quickly. "Yafen, are you okay?" But I couldn't say a word. I never imagined my son would see me like this. At home, Zaiji was already sitting in the living room, waiting. "Mom, sit down. Explain what just happened." "Zaiji, let me explain." "No need. Just tell me the truth. Are you having an affair with that married man next door?" Those 4 words, married man, stabbed into my heart like a knife, because legally, he was still married. "Zaiji, he's in the process of divorcing. It'll be done soon." "That's not the point, Ji," he suddenly shouted. "Mom, you're 58 years old. You have a son. The whole community knows you. And I see my own mother walking out of a love motel. Do you know how I'll be able to show my face in this community from now on?" Every word was a dagger. "I know you're lonely, but how could you get involved with a married man? Mom is a human being too. I want to be loved too." "Love? Do you call this love? Stealing someone else's husband, that's love?" I couldn't hold back anymore. "Harsh. I'm not harsh, Mom. What you're doing is harsh." Just then, the doorbell rang. I opened the door. Heather Lynn stood outside. "I'm sorry to intrude, but I thought I should come in to explain clearly." "Don't bother. Don't come in. This is our family matter. This is our family matter." Brother Lin called out something from outside, but Zaiji didn't budge. "Mom, I'll ask you one last time. Are you going to keep seeing him?" "Zaiji, try to understand how I feel." "Mom, if you don't even care about your own dignity, what is there for me to understand?" He picked up his bag and headed for the door. "Mom, don't contact me anymore." The door closed. The house was empty. I collapsed to the floor. I never thought I would lose my son. Brother Lin sent many messages, but I didn't want to talk to anyone. I took a few days off from school. He came by a few times, but I didn't open the door. But a week later, something even worse happened. Zaiji had told the rest of the family. That night, the doorbell rang frantically. "Yafen, open up." It was my older sister's voice. I opened the door. My sister, her husband, and several other relatives sit there. My sister spoke first. "Zaiji told us everything. You're involved with a married man." I could only hang my head. A 58-year-old woman. And you went to a love motel. My brother-in-law boomed. "How old are you? Doing such a shameful thing. Do you know what people in the community are saying? You've made the whole family lose face." I couldn't say a word. I just flowed. "What good is crying?" My sister said coldly. "Cut off all contact with that man immediately." Sin, I'm a human being too. I have the right to love. Love, look at yourself, you're acting like some idol drama heroine. My sister, Mom, stealing someone's husband, you call that love? At 58, what love are you talking about? All the relatives nodded. Say something. If Mom were alive, how disappointed would she be? Really, if Mom saw this, how heartbroken she'd be. Wake up and break up with that man. Otherwise, we can't just pretend we don't know anymore. Everyone stared at me with the same eyes. It felt like the whole world had turned against me. Just then, the door opened. Brother Lin walked in. "I'm dating Yafen." He bowed respectfully. "You're that man?" My sister asked coldly. "My Yafen has done nothing wrong. I was the one who approached her. My marriage is already broken. Only the final divorce paperwork remains." "That sounds nice, but it's not finalized yet, is it?" Brother Lin took a document from his bag. "Very successfully. It will be finalized next Friday. Here is my lawyer's contact information. You're welcome to verify." The relatives exchanged glances. "But do you know what people in the community are saying?" "I know. But I want to spend the rest of my life with Yafen. What others say doesn't matter." How about that? I gathered my courage. I don't want to hide anymore. I want to follow my heart. "Yafen, wake up," my sister shouted. I continue to feel this way at this age. At first I was ashamed, but now I just want to be true to my feelings. Are you crazy? 58 years old, and you're talking about, sis, does age matter? I'm a human being too. I have the right to love and be loved. Brother Lin stood beside me. Don't old people also have the right to love? The relatives looked dumbfounded. At your age 58 and 55 still talking about love. Is there an age limit on love? Brother Lin asked. My sister stood up abruptly. Fine, go ahead with this, but from now on consider us strangers. One by one, the relatives got up. Now Fen, don't regret this. But chose this, you're on your own. The door closed. The house was finally quiet. Brother Lin took my hand. No, I feel like I finally made the right choice, so, but my family has abandoned me. In time, Belle understood to say, what matters is your happiness, your Fen. Isn't that right? That night, Zaiji, Heidi texted Mom. Do you really think that choice is right? I replied I do. But just a woman who longs to be loved. I hope you can understand. He didn't reply. Maybe it was too hard for him to. For the first time in 58 years I was following my own heart. Brother Lin held my hand tightly. Let's live openly. No more hiding. I nodded. No matter what others say. The next morning, Zaiji came again, his face stiffer than before. Mom, I'll ask you one last time. Are you going to keep seeing him? I hesitated, then answered honestly yes. I will continue to be with him. Zaiji shook his head. Those were words tore at my heart, but this time I couldn't back down. Zaiji, before Mom is anyone's mother, Hami is also Chen Yangfen. I have the right to love and be happy. Happy? He sneered. You call this happy? Everyone in the community is pointing fingers, and you're happy. But when I'm with Brother Lin, I truly feel alive. He shook his head. If that's your choice, so be it. I won't contact you anymore. I collapsed on the floor, tears breaking the dam. Was I doing the right thing? Just then, Brother Lin texted, let's take a walk tonight. I replied, okay, meet at the Riverside Park. I put down my phone and watched the sunset, whispering to myself, yes, I said I wouldn't hide anymore. I would live with my head held. That night, we walked hand in hand through the Riverside Park. Stranger stares felt sharp, but he held my hand, and suddenly I found strength. Your son? He said he's cutting ties with me. Don't worry too much. We sat on a bench drinking hot tea. Yeah, Fan, do you regret it? 有人抱了去是谁？别人抱了去是谁？ Right, apparently we're happy, aren't we? He smiled. In that moment I understood. Though people's gazes were cold, my heart was beating warmly. For 58 years I had been someone's daughter, someone's wife, someone's mother. At last I had begun to live as Chen Yangfen. Not shame, but courage opening the door to the second half of my life. Brother Wenji, of course. Well, I found at this age is even more precious, isn't it? He held my hand tightly as he walked me to my door. I asked, will we see each other tomorrow? Definitely. I looked up at the window. There are countless stories of fatherly love as solid as a mountain. But Shen Chengfen's story has a strange, indescribable beauty and peculiarity. 18 years ago, a down-and-out widower picked up a baby girl in a desolate wilderness. 18 years later, his adopted daughter Su Qingwan grew into immaterial, otherworldly beauty, but she refused them all. Even more intriguing, every full moon night, she would murmur to the north, her eyes filled with a distant melancholy, as if speaking into the void. Mother, the day you come for me is near. What did she mean? Who is her biological mother? 18 years ago in Tingxi village, there lived a widower named Shen Chengfeng. He was 28, his parents long dead. He scraped by on a few acres of ancestral land and his skill as a carpenter. Though poor, life was stable, but he was withdrawn, and between his brows always lingered a deep melancholy. Since his wife's death he had remained alone. One late autumn day, Shen Chengfeng was returning from a carpentry job in a neighboring county. To take a shortcut, he went to the northern wild mountains, and the storm was clearly coming. He quickened his pace. Near a jagged rocky ridge, he heard a baby's cry. How could there be a baby in this desolate place? Puzzled, he followed the sound and found under a boulder shaped like a crouching tiger a baby girl wrapped in silver white brocade. She was about 3 or 4 months old, her face blue from the cold, yet her cry was still strong. Strangest of all, even as rain poured down, the baby seemed shielded by some invisible force within 3 feet of her. Not a drop fell, as if she were in another world. Chen Changfeng looked around and shouted, but only the wind answered, soaked to the bone, but no one came. Seeing the baby's cries weakening, he picked her up. Come with me for now. Her glassy eyes looked at him, and her little lips curved into a smile. Even more astonishing, as soon as he picked her up, the clouds parted, and a full moon shone down, its light falling on an arc-shaped jade pendant hanging from the baby's neck. The pendant was exquisitely carved to teapot, with eyes lifelike. They seemed to glow with an enchanting light. That night at home, Shen Changfeng busied himself feeding a swaddle from old clothes and feeding her rice broth. The baby was extraordinarily well behaved, no crying, no fussing. She ate and slept. Looking at the sleepy infant, Shen Chang felt a tenderness and thrill he had never known. Since you're with me, you need a name. Ting-Wan. The next day, Shen Changfeng carried the baby around asking if anyone had lost a child. No one had. He reported it to the county office, but the officials only gave him a perfunctory response. Shen Chang officially adopted the child, telling the villagers she was a distant relative's daughter. But they found it odd, seeing how devotedly he cared for her. They gradually accepted it. However, some observant neighbors noticed that after bringing the child home, Shen Changfeng became even quieter. Every full moon night, he would stand in the yard holding the baby, staring north for half an hour. Raising an infant alone was hard. Shen Changfeng played both father and mother. By day, he carried Ting-Wan on his back while working. At night, he got up several times to change her. His rough carpenter's hands learned to sew and braid hair. Speaking in full sentences at 1, reciting poetry at 3. Even more remarkable, her beauty grew with age. Her skin was fair as jade, her features delicate as a painting. Her large, lively eyes had an uncanny, otherworldly charm. When Ting-Wan was 6, she fell gravely ill with a high fever and rash. No doctor could help. One night, a desperate Shen Changfeng dozed off at the table and dreamed of a woman in white who recited to him at the mountain. The remedy for this ill is in the boulder's power. Then she turned into a white fox and vanished. Startled awake, Shen Chang remembered the crouching tiger boulder where he'd found Ting-Wan. He rushed to the northern mountain. Under the boulder, he found a glowing herb. He took it home, brewed it into a decoction, and fed it to Ting-Wan. Within half a day, she recovered completely. But after waking, her eyes seemed deeper, and the way she looked at Shen Changfeng held a subtle, indescribable longing. When Ting-Wan was 9, a drought struck Qingxi village. Crops withered, and Shen Changfeng's carpentry work dried up. Food was often scarce. He always gave whatever food there was to Ting-Wan, eating bark and grass roots himself. One night, Ting-Wan woke to find her father curled up in the yard in pain. When she learned the truth, the little girl went to the mountains to pick wild fruit and fell, injuring herself. Shen Changfeng was frantic, angry, and heartbroken. For the first time, he yelled at her. Then she said through tears that he Ting-Wan can't without you. Those words broke the tough man's heart. He held her and sobbed. The arc-shaped jade pendant around Ting-Wan's neck began to glow, leading them to a buried chest of silver ingots in the backyard. Repaired their home. And life slowly improved. By 14, Ting-Wan was famous for her beauty. Young masters from wealthy families came from afar, fell for her at first sight, and offered generous bride prices. Jati, why won't you let me marry? Do you find me a burden? Ting-Wan once asked, her eyes full of grievance. Shen Changfeng sighed. How could I find you a burden? The time isn't right. When will it be? He looked north and said nothing, his eyes hiding deep reluctance. Time flew. At 16, Ting-Wan had grown even more beautiful, a breathtaking blend of enchantment and purity. Needlework, even medicine, often treating villagers for free. She was well respected. Suitors came in droves, country gentry, official sons almost wearing a path to Shen's door, earning much resentment. One day, the county magistrate sent a matchmaker for his son. The betrothal gifts fill a small yard. Bene maliciously, Shen's daughter had struck gold, but Ting-Wan felt uneasy. She knew her father would refuse. Please go back. The matchmaker turned livid. Shen Changfeng, don't be ungrateful. The magistrate's favor is a blessing on your ancestors. To refuse like this, do you have something to hide? Shen Changfeng's face darkened. Ting-Wan stepped out. Matchmaker, marriage is decided by parents. I will obey. Besides, I have already given my heart to another. My father must approve, and my husband must be willing to care for him with me. That night, Ting-Wan went to her father's room and asked seriously, Daddy, over the years, you've refused every suitor. What? If you don't want me to marry, I never will. I'll stay and care for you. Shen Changfeng's eyes filled with tears. Silly child, why wouldn't I want you to marry well? But the time is near. You always say, the time isn't right, or, the time is near. After a long silence, you're maliciously. Your birth mother will come for you. Ting-Wan was stunned. Daddy, you mean my mother is alive? Why wait 18 years to claim me? Fate cannot be defied. Soon after, a gang of bandits heard of Ting-Wan's beauty and snuck into the Shen home one night. King Wanji, hand emblazed with light, conjuring a giant white tiger that scared the bandits away, and no one dared propose anymore. King Wan herself noticed she was different. She walked lightly under the moon as if on level ground, healed quickly and could sometimes sense others' thoughts. These abilities made her more curious about her origins and deepened the bond to father. 3 months before King Wan's 18th birthday, Shen Cheng fell ill. Within days he was bedridden. King Wan nursed him day and night, but all shook their heads. It was terminal. King Wan refused to give up, remembering her father's words about medicinal herbs under the northern border. The next morning, after settling her father, she set off alone. She didn't reach it until sunset, but after searching, she found no herbs. Exhausted and hungry, she wept by the boulder. Father, if you have a soul, please show me how to save my father. Suddenly, the jade pendant at her chest glowed with a warm white light. The boulder before her grew transparent, revealing the path. King Wan followed it and soon came to a secluded valley filled with blooming flowers. A woman in white, her back to the door, was decanting herbs. "Ma'am," King Wan began. The woman turned. King Wan froze, every movement radiating charm. "King Wan, I've been waiting for you. I am your mother, Lingxi." King Wan was thunderstruck. They invited her to sit and told the story of the past. 18 years ago, Lingxi, a 1,000-year cultivated white fox, took human form to undergo a tribulation, but she fell in love with a scholar named Gu Yanfan. But a wicked Taoist exposed her true identity. Gu Yanfan died protecting her. Lingxi was pregnant. Though she killed the Taoist in a magical battle, her foundation was damaged, and she had to retreat to the mountains to heal. Before giving birth, though, knowing she would need to go into seclusion, she poured her cultivation into the teapot-shaped jade pendant and placed her newborn daughter at the northern border, the boundary between the human and spirit worlds. She had divined that a kind person would pass by, and she had sent Shen Chen a dream to guide him. "I made a pact with your foster father when you turned 18. I would come and take you back to the Fox clan," Bai Ling, she said. King Wan's mind reeled. She said, "So Chen Zhanfeng is not my birth father, but he raised me for 18 years. Bai Ling, she stroked her daughter's cheek. "I should have told you sooner, but I didn't want to disturb your mortal life." King Wan thought of her gravely ill father and knelt. "You have what is say. You have magic. Please save my father. Shen Changfeng's lifespan is nearly over, but in recognition of his 18 years of loving care for you, I am willing to expend some cultivation to extend his life." Bai Ling, she gave King Wan a pill. "This will cure his illness, but it will only add 3 years to his life. 3 years from today, his time will come. Then you must make a choice." King Wan took the pill, overwhelmed with emotion. Bai Ling, she added, "You carry fox blood. On your 18th birthday, when the moon is full, your abilities will awaken. Remember, never reveal them lightly before mortals. King Wan, in 3 years I will come for you again. The path of fox cultivation is long. Be prepared." King Wan took the pill home and gave it to Shen Changfen. Within 3 days, he was out of bed. Within half a month, he was fully recovered. Father and daughter never spoke of the northern mountain encounter, but both understood. On the night of King Wan's 18th birthday, as Bai Ling she had foretold, her fox blood awakened. She could shift between human form and a white fox and mastered many small spells. But she heeded her mother's warning, never revealing her abilities except one alone. Knowing King Wan's true nature, Shen Changfen felt at peace. "So, I always knew you weren't meant for this ordinary world. To have you call me daddy for 18 years is already heaven's generosity." For the next 3 years, King Wan cared for her father even more devotedly while secretly practicing fox magic. Her medical skills also improved, earning the name Living Bodhisattva. In the 3rd autumn, Shen Chang fell ill again. King Wan knew the end was near and stayed by his side dying but one evening Shen Chen suddenly rallied. "别让过了70岁 of my life was the night I took that northern shortcut. King Wan, don't grieve for me. I'm going to reunite with your mother, who had been forced to marry another because of his poverty and died of a broken heart." King Wan sobbed. "After I'm gone, hold your birth mother. The human world is good, but it's not your home." Before he wanted to answer, a flash of white light appeared outside the window. Bai Ling, she materialized in the room. She bowed to Shen Changfen. "Thank you for 18 years of raising my daughter." Shen Cheng returned the bow with a smile. "The time has come. Have you decided? If you stay in the human world, you have only 100 years." King Wan looked at her foster father, then at her birth mother. Her heart already knew. 10 days later, Chen Changfeng passed away peacefully. Tianxi village found the Shen home empty, with only a letter and some silver left with the village head to care for Shen Changfeng's grave. Her father's kindness is as high as a mountain, never to be forgotten. Perhaps if fate allows, we may meet again. 30 miles north of Kingshi village stands Kingwon Mountain. On it is Kingwon Temple, where a fox spirit goddess is worshipped. It is said to be very efficacious. Even more remarkable, the temple's abbess is a veiled female physician of great skill, often treating the poor for free. That year, a severe drought struck, rivers dried up. The people went to Kingwon Temple to pray for rain. The abbess said, "At noon 3 days from now, rain will come." At noon on the third day, dark clouds gathered and rain poured down. After the rain stopped, people found the abbess gone. Only a letter, 5 medical books, and 3 volumes of spell manuals remained. The people were astonished and knelt in worship. From then on, the incense at Kingwon Temple burned bright, and the story of the fox spirit goddess was passed down through generations. Some said that on moonlit nights, they saw a woman in white borne before Shen Changfeng's grave, accompanied by a pure white fox. Others said that whenever a villager had a serious illness, a woman in white would appear in a dream and prescribe a cure. Following the prescription always brought recovery, secretly watching over the land where she had lived for 18 years. The northern crouching tiger boulder was also regarded as a sacred object. It was said that those with sincere hearts might see two white shadows by the boulder one young mother and daughter, guarding the peace of that land. Shen Chanfen's grave remained eternally tidy. Every Qingming festival, a cluster of rare white wildflowers would appear there, their fragrance delicate. Fatherly love is like a mountain, regardless of species. True love transcends life and death. And so this strange tale has been passed down through the ages as the most beautiful of legends.